Imagine graduating from Harvard Business School and not having a job. When I graduated, I had 0 job offers, almost 1 crore rupees in loans, and a 90-day timer ticking. For 6 to 7 months, I relentlessly applied for jobs, continuously applying, but that led to nowhere. Within a month, I changed my strategy and landed offers from 5 firms in product management. In this video, I'm going to be sharing all my secrets, all my tricks that I used to land that job offer and how you can be just as successful. I'm going to be honest, I'm going to be blunt. So let's get started and I'll be taking you through my entire journey of things that worked, things that didn't work, and how you can maximize your efficiency in the job hunt process. For more such tips, subscribe to this channel. I'll be bringing more guests on product management to help you navigate this career path and even general tips on getting better at job hunt. Let's get started. Let me tell you my quick story. I graduated from Harvard Business School, and at that time, I had a summer internship with Apple. The job market was so bad that Apple did not give a return offer to any student from Harvard. We were told that there was no headcount. And then once you're given that message, you have to go back to your job hunting process, and that's brutal, especially when the market is bad. What I would do, I would go back to my Harvard dorm and keep writing emails to different hiring managers, sometimes even 100 emails a day. And I realized I was getting no results, not even first interviews. It felt a moment of dejection that why did I even come to the US? Like, if I don't have a job, I could have continued my job in Europe where I was. Why did I take that big risk of doing an MBA coming to the US? Not only does an MBA put you 2 years behind, but now you have a loan and you have a timer ticking that you need to find a job by, because for international students, if you don't find a job within 90 days, you have to leave the country. So the pressure is immense. And on top of that, some of you can relate. You may have people or friends saying, oh, this person went to the US to study abroad and now they don't have a job. It becomes a talking point. So that was a very, very difficult and a low moment in my life. But then I tried a few things which changed, and I'm going to discuss all of them in this video. I'll first start off with some general tips on how you should actually approach the cold emailing process. First of all, if you have watched my previous webinar, that's great. This will be a quick recap for you, but if you haven't, check it out right now. It'll give you the right things, the right framework to apply, but I'll quickly recap. Whenever you are cold emailing anybody, maybe a hiring manager that you saw on LinkedIn or somebody that is hiring for a job, there are 3 things that you must follow when you're writing that email. Number 1, personalize that email, right? Don't be that person who copy paste the same text and sends it to like 200 people. People know when there is no effort, they can see it. Read about the person that you're going to send the message to and personalize that message. You could write something like, hey, I saw that Apple has been coming out with this cool new feature. In fact, in my previous job, we were thinking about the same problem. I know that this is a difficult problem to solve, but I thought about it this way. That kind of gives the person that this person actually looked into my profile and taken the effort, and makes it easier for them to actually like reply to you. So that's number 1, personalize the email. The second thing I would tell you to do is keep it concise. Don't use more than 4 sentences in that mail of yours. People don't have so much time. And number 3, make it easier for them to respond. So whenever you write an outreach email, don't just say like, let me know, or what do you think? Give them like a yes or no way to respond to it. So you could say, would a 10-minute coffee chat work for you on Thursday? I think that gives them the idea that this person is very intentional about their job search, right? In my other video, I shared more tips, but this is just a general framework on how do you cold email. It's an important part of the process. Let's move on to the next thing, right? So first of all, if you're targeting even product management roles, I would highly recommend not just having 1 resume, have at least 6 to 7 resumes. The reason why I say that is a lot of the times you want to get your foot in the door of that dream company of yours, and within the company, the transitions are way easier. For example, if you're looking for a product management role, why don't you apply for product strategy or go to market as an adjacent role, and within 6-7 months make that switch. It's way easier, especially if you're new to product management. I did not have significant experience as a product manager. I had something called product owner, which is different from product manager. And a big or unsaid rule in big tech in the US is they look at your experience in big tech and accordingly give you a level at which you start. So I had only product owner experience, and that didn't really help. So getting an adjacent role would be super helpful. So for example, the way I would do is I would use LLMs for your job search. Ask ChatGPT, hey, this is my background, this is my current resume, paste that. And this is the job posting, get the job posting. Extract the keywords from this job posting, extract the keywords from my resume, and let me know what words I should add in my resume that are present in this job listing and not present in my resume. Use ChatGPT's O3 model, which is multi-reasoning. That basically helps you quickly adapt your resume. So you can have 6-7 versions of your resume and tailor your resume to every job you apply. Now, having done that, let's quickly get into specifics of a product management interview. In my Google interview, I had about 5 rounds and 1 recruiter screening, but I wouldn't count that. That was a very short call. The 5 main calls, and this is what all that they cover, right? The first round that you would have is product design. The second round that you would have is analytical questions. The third round that you would have is product strategy. The fourth round that you would have is technical, and the fifth round that you would have is Googleyness or leadership. These are 5 rounds, and this is more or less for any other company that you're applying to. If you can prepare these 5 really well, you are going to get the product management job. So let's start with the first one, which is product design. So product design questions basically ask you, how would you improve your washing machine, or design Instagram for kids? So these are pretty open-ended questions, right? The way you answer these questions is not by saying, okay, Instagram for kids would work like this, and the answer is done. That's not the way you answer these questions. The way you answer product design questions is by basically engaging in a dialogue with the recruiter. You always start with clarifying questions that, okay, so by kids, what do you mean? What age group are you looking at? Are you interested in a particular demographic? Are you interested in a particular geography? Clarifying questions just helps you narrow down your problem statement and design for them. The next thing you want to do is look at some sort of a framework to categorize these segments that you're targeting, right? You want to show that you have clarity in thinking. And then what you want to do is start talking about the pain points of these different user segments that you just identified. After identifying the pain points, you show some sort of a prioritization, that this is my metric for prioritizing. And ultimately, these are the solutions that I would build. I've just shared this in a nutshell, but that's the first round, the product design round. And the best way to prepare for this round is not any course, is not anything fancy that you think of. Let me tell you my story. I prepared for all of this from free YouTube videos. That's the best way to get started. And go to YouTube, just type up product design mock interview for Google or product design interview for Facebook, like different top tech companies. You'll actually then realize how people have answered these questions. Just watch 5 of those videos and then you'll have an idea of how these questions are answered, and that's more than enough. So what got me better at these product design questions was not some fancy course. You don't have to make or purchase any course. What worked for me was just peer interviews. The best strategy for preparing for product management interviews in general is finding a mock buddy or somebody else who's preparing and is in the same boat. These people can help you the most because they are similarly preparing. So they have that interview mindset and they can give you actionable feedback on how they would answer that question. Exchanging notes with somebody who's 1 or 2 years even into that role would be amazing. So try to find those peers who are new into product management or working at these tech companies to take your mock interviews and giving you feedback. Trust me, 2 mock interviews and you'll be way, way, way better than what you were when you started. So that's number 1. We talked about product design. Let's move on to the second one, which was analytical questions. And typically the questions in this, tell me about a product that you use. And let's say you say, I use Spotify. And then they will ask, okay, so we see that 10% usage of Spotify is down. Like our daily active users are down by 10%. How would you solve this problem? These are typically analytical questions, and the way you work with them is also a very structured approach, right? You'd ask them, okay, what are the different causes that could lead to this drop, right? It's more a diagnosing problem. So you think about, oh, okay, I'm going to look at it from different angles. Is it a geography specific problem? Is it related to some particular demographics? Is it related to some external event? Is it related to some algorithm change? Is it related to some app change? It basically looks at whether you can holistically think and then deep dive into each of these, right? The best way to prepare for analytical interviews in general is taking a product that you like. For example, let's say if you use Spotify yourself, if you were diagnosing, what kind of questions would you ask a data scientist to get more answers to? And the way the interview would help you is they would start showing you some data based on your responses because they would have it ready. The conversation flows both ways till you've actually narrowed down on the solution. Typically what the testing is not the exact root cause if you could get to, but the structure that you had in your thinking. So make sure in this kind of a answer, you're very exhaustive in looking and listing everything. Again, the best way to also prepare for these is going on YouTube and again searching product analytical questions, and you'll get like a ton of examples. Watch 5 of videos and you'll be like set. That's sort of how I did it. The third question I think is a bit more open-ended, and this is called product strategy questions. For product strategy questions, I think there is no set framework or like a set thing that you could follow to get an answer to. What I would recommend in product strategy question is think from basically first principles. You could be asked questions like, so for example, let's take a real world scenario, like real life scenario, right? What's happening? ChatGPT is taking share from Google in the search space. How should Google react to this? So the idea would be then listing out what is the mission of the company. So what does Google want to do? Like organize the world's information and make it more accessible. What's OpenAI's mission? What are OpenAI's strengths and weaknesses? What are Google's strengths and weaknesses? And then talking a little bit about how Google can play to its strengths. So for example, one thing you can tell that maybe Google wins at distribution way more than OpenAI, right? Google has access to all these Google Docs, Google Sheets, which has like billions of users. ChatGPT does not have that kind of a reach yet. So maybe integrating Gemini into these could be a good strategy. I think, again, strategy questions are also very open-ended, but the idea is to, again, get as much structure as you can in this. The fourth question, which is called a technical round, these questions are just to gauge whether you can work with the engineers or not, or work with the other people in your team. They can go two ways. One could be like, tell me about a time when you worked with an engineer, what kind of problem that you solved. Tell me about a time when you worked with a UX researcher, what kind of problem were you trying to solve and how did you go about it. I think that ways you can explain that, hey, this was a technical issue. You could talk anything. So for example, our signups were not increasing because we saw there was a funnel in our process which was too much of friction, and we basically discussed with the UX on how to remove this by identifying a breakpoint in the funnel and recreating that registration process. So that could be an example of a technical question. Sometimes what happens in Google interviews, they will actually give you real life situations that this is a particular problem that you're working on and your engineer has told you that this is not happening. So what could be what kind of discussion would you have? And they would start playing the engineer and you would be playing the product manager and asking questions. These are hard to predict, honestly, but the best way to prepare is having a basic understanding of some principles from computer science, right? Like, for example, what's the basic setup of a mobile app? Like for you to know that there is a database that exists, few basic database design, how they exist. You could know that there is a front end, a back end, what kind of services typically sit on the front end, back end. Like, I think having a high level idea is enough for PMs. They don't need to go into the technical details of implementation, but you need to be aware of what's in the tech stack. Like, that understanding you need to have. Finally, the last question which I want to talk about is the Googleyness or the leadership, right? These are basically like kind of pretty, again, open-ended questions that you can get asked. These could test two things. One, it could be specific to your domain, the team that you are hiring for, or the role that you applied for. Second, they could be more general, like, tell me about a time when you led a team and how was that experience. The best way to prepare for these is to have what I call STAR stories ready. Situation, task, action, result. Every time in any sort of product role that you worked with, or also not in a product role, maybe in any other field that you worked with, have some 4 to 5 examples where you demonstrated some strong results, right? Let's say that you grew retention by 10% or you reduced churn by 7%. Have those concrete examples that just basically show that this person can also communicate well. I think in these leadership rounds, mostly they're leaning towards giving you an offer, but they want to make sure that you can communicate well and you are pointed with your communication, you don't keep going in circles, and that you can handle the rigor of working at a place like Google. So that's basically what they're testing. The best way to prepare, like I said, is have STAR questions ready. I want to just talk about one more thing in this entire process, right? Like, trust me, I have been through this and I feel you. Like, I know a lot of you are just applying to the jobs, not hearing back. Your resume is getting stuck in ATS black holes. You're not even getting the first interview. Give yourself 6 months. This process takes time. Trust me, when you get into the process and you follow these tips that I've shared of all these 5 different types of interviews, practice with your peers, you will start getting into a mindset where you'll understand what is being tested in these interviews way better than your first interview. So my first interview went really bad. Like, it was a 30-minute interview. The call ended in 10 minutes because I could not answer a very basic question around metrics. This is me being absolutely honest with you. 6 months down the line, I had 5 offers. So the point being that everybody can improve, everybody can learn. This is not rocket science. In fact, I would say product management is more about thinking from first principles, applying what you see around the world to your daily job. And that's what I love about this job. It's very, very real. So when I work at YouTube, I'm looking at real life problems about how are users behaving, what's happening. And it's my day-to-day experience of watching YouTube. So that makes it even more fun. Of course, I know all of you who are watching this are excited about product management. I don't have to emphasize it more, but it's a really fun job. So I'm glad that you want to get into product management. Just a personal story that I want to share, right? I think I shared it earlier. I got a job at YouTube in a way because I was invited to a team match call, which is a process in Google. And my manager actually saw my video on YouTube and he was like, okay, this person maybe can speak decently well. So let's just get him for a call. Now, that didn't make or break my job offer. But what I'm saying is that putting yourself out there, expressing yourself, be it on LinkedIn, is a great way to build a connection with these different hiring managers. I'll tell you an example, right? Today, if you're looking for a role in GenAI, product management, what's the best way to capture anybody's attention? And the number one way is to actually build something using GenAI. We have tools like Lovable, Replit, all of these, Cursor, all of these tools are available for people to use. Just build something out of it and post it on LinkedIn that, hey, I made this tool. This was a personal pain point I was facing. This is how I prioritized. And I think this is how I would improve it. The fact that you build this thing, you never know which hiring manager would see it and what they would like about it, or you never know how that would work out for you. But the fact that there is a chance that somebody sees it and reaches out and it actually lands you a job, that post would have actually done wonders in landing you a job. My point being, putting yourself out there actually helps. So that's something just to consider as you're doing. And I think a way you can also think about it is you start writing your thoughts out and think in a more clear way. Okay, to conclude, the final action plan that I want you to have as you leave from this, right? Number one, give it 6 months. Trust me, this process takes time. You will slowly start getting interviews. Give it 6 months. The market is bad. It will recover. So give yourself at least 6 months, if not more. Second, use my technique for cold emails. Don't do random outreaches. From a day-to-day perspective, target sending at least 50 emails a day. Yeah, the job market is bad. Send 50 emails a day, but personalized emails, right? And use LLMs for personalizing those messages. You can just, in fact, now we have come to a point where LLMs are able to read links. So you can also share links to the profiles or just copy their bio from LinkedIn to draft a message for you. So there are ways for you to be efficient. That's the second thing. Third thing, have different variations of your resume for product adjacent roles. Don't just limit to product management. Fourth, I talked about different types of product interviews that exist, the 5 which are asked at Google and other companies. Make sure that you have a mock partner who can help you quiz each other on the same kind of questions and maintain a written record of those questions. Like how you went about thinking about those questions, what you wrote, what you answered. Make sure that you do that. If you don't have a study buddy, what you can do is again use LLMs, right? The way you can prompt is you can tell the LLM, hey, you are an expert product manager at Google working in YouTube. I want you to start preparing by asking me questions about my approach. The first question that I want you to ask me is designing Instagram for kids. And I will ask clarifying questions. Your role is to keep prompting me and guiding me through the interview for 30 minutes. Trust me, this way ChatGPT will talk to you. You can write your answers and you can see how you're doing, right? And record yourself while doing this so it feels like a real interview. So that in case you don't have a mock buddy, but mock buddy as somebody I would highly recommend. And the last thing I would say in this job market is you have to be innovative in your job approach. You cannot just be a passive applicant. You have to be an active applicant. By active applicant, I mean see who are the hiring managers on LinkedIn. Try to get to their directly to their email inboxes by emailing them or by a cold LinkedIn outreach. If that's not working, build projects and post it somewhere where people can see. The way you navigate this job market is by putting yourself out there. So try to get as hands-on as possible, right? Everybody who's trying hard, trust me, will see success at the end. But it's all about not giving up. So if you're in that journey, be relentless, be focused, and you will see light at the end of the tunnel.